Well, they had to have known it was coming. The Biden family under investigation. And at the center of it for now, millions of dollars from a Chinese energy firm. However, the crack in the armor of the Biden family, legally, that big payday, is just the tip of the iceberg. The House Oversight Committee is diving deep and finding more foreign business deals that are sketchy involving the now first family. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. The committee says bank subpoenaed banking information will show some dozen deals now. So far, records show Hunter Biden, president's brother James, his daughter-in-law Haley, and one other unknown for now, unnamed, unknown Biden, received payments from a Chinese firm. Here's the chairman of Oversight, Comer.
Right now, it looks like the Biden family just pocketed this money. This is one deal. We have 11 more to go, and I'm pretty confident we'll be getting more bank records in very soon. The White House hasn't been truthful about this from day one. I don't think the White House ever dreamed we would get bank records. I've got bad news for the White House. This is just the beginning. We're going to get a lot more bank records, and they're going to have to continue to backpedal and come up with some type of reason why the Biden families received millions and millions of dollars from our adversaries.
Oh, bank records, the ultimate in financial receipts. And when asked about it, his family members getting that foreign money, here's what President Biden said. One sentence, that's not true. In focus, Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio. He's chairman of both the House Judiciary Committees and the new subcommittee on weaponization of the federal government. We'll get into that with him. He's also a member of Oversight, a very busy person. All right, let's start with these 12 other business deals. What are we learning?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple fundamental questions, Harris. First of all, who's the unknown Biden? And then second, what was the service they were providing that warranted receiving all this money and these millions of dollars? I mean, what work did they do? What service? It's just like Shazam, here shows up millions of dollars. What did they do for it? I mean, those are, to me, are the fundamental questions, and that's what the committee's trying to get at. And I would always point out, too, that they're called suspicious activity reports for a reason. The activity in these bank accounts is suspicious, so much so that the Treasury Department puts together these reports that we're now finally getting access to and beginning to go through. So those, to me, are the fundamental questions. That's what Chairman Comer wants to get to the bottom of so that the American people have the truth.
Even the left actually does not love the optics of the Biden family's China money trail. Let's watch together.
And it doesn't sound good. There's a guy whose name is John Robinson Walker. He gets $3 million from a Chinese-based company and proceeds to wire it out to a bunch of people named Biden, one of whom is Hunter Biden. Another one is a company that belongs to the president's brother, James Biden, and another amount of money to Beau Biden's widow, Hallie. So, again, from a layperson, that doesn't look good.
It doesn't smell good, she said. That's code for how are we going to cover him and cover this?
Yeah, it doesn't look good, and it's suspicious. Not Jim Jordan, not Jamie Comer saying that. It's suspicious according to the United States Treasury Department, to Janet Yellen's agency. They're the ones who said this all looks suspicious, and that's why they put together these reports that we're going to go through.
You know what? Let me ask you about something, though, just in terms of suspicious activity reports. How common are they? How common would it be that you'd have north of 150 on a single individual? Just talk to me about what they really are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this volume of suspicious activity reports is probably somewhat unprecedented. I'm sure they happen. I'm sure there's legitimate reasons why people can explain, oh, here's why this happened, and okay, no problem. We initially thought it was suspicious. Now maybe it's not. But when you have this number all about this family, and again, I think this account, the one that Mr. Comer's talked about, Chairman Comer's talked about a lot, where this $3 million shows up, I think he said before that there was very little money in this account. And then all of a sudden, here comes $3 million. And as you point out, then it's paid out to people all with the same last name, and one of them being the unknown Biden. So that's a concern. And again, I think the American people are entitled to know what was going on here.
All right, we're about to break some news here with you because we are the first to receive and can publicly report a letter that you have sent out that starts this way. You are reportedly about to engage in an unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority. This is the case against former President Donald Trump, and the New York District Attorney could choose to indict Trump. Charges would relate to hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy with this a bit earlier.
I think it's clearly a misdemeanor. It's one that shouldn't be brought. And the attack on Bragg here, it shouldn't be a defense of Trump, because it looks like this is a falsification of records. But the attack on Bragg ought to be that no one who was not Donald Trump would conceivably be charged with this.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy tweeted this over the weekend. I'm directing relevant committees to immediately investigate if federal funds are being used to subvert our democracy by interfering in elections with politically motivated prosecutions. And Congressman, you head up one of those committees that would be talked about by McCarthy. So we are now ending, per you, the embargo on this. Tell me about this letter and what you're seeking.
Well, yeah, this letter comes at the direction of the Speaker for the House Administration Committee, the House Oversight Committee, Chairman Comer, Chairman Stile, and then Judiciary Committee. And we've sent this letter to Mr. Bragg saying, we want to talk to you. We want to know what's going on here. We want to see the communications that have taken place between the Federal Justice Department and your district attorney's office there in Manhattan. Because understand, Harris, first they went after President Trump on Russia. Then it was a phone call with Zelensky. Then they wanted his tax returns. Then they go after his business records. Then they go after his children. And now it's some misdemeanor alleged bookkeeping error that they're going to. And this is from the prosecutor who initially didn't want to do this. In fact, he had people resign because he wasn't going to do this because no one else will bring this case. I mean, the DOJ didn't bring the case. The Federal District of New York didn't bring the case. The previous prosecutor in the district there in Manhattan didn't bring the case. Mr. Bragg himself didn't want to bring the case. But then he got pressured, I think, from the left. And I would say this, the one thing that has changed, the one thing that I think has changed his mind is President Trump announced he was going to run for president again. And suddenly here they go. Now they're coming after him for some alleged bookkeeping error. You've got to be kidding me. So we want to know what kind of federal involvement may have taken place here. And we want to know, did this stem from the Mueller special counsel investigation getting to this point as well?
All right. And you hit the nail on the head. I want to ask about what happens if federal money was used, because actually paying off Stormy Daniels as hush money, as we would call it, is not illegal in the state of New York, as I've read it. So how does the federal money play a role if federal dollars were used for that?
Well, we wouldn't use for that. Federal dollars may be involved. We're talking with the district attorney's office there, where the federal funds there, the federal nexus to us. But yeah, I think, you know what did they want President Trump did? Was he supposed to use campaign money? You can't do that. So this is, I think, just a ridiculous case that they are bringing. I think the people of this country understand it's ridiculous. We want to talk to Mr. Bragg. We're asking him for the communications he's had with the federal government. We're asking him to come in and testify. We'd like an answer by Thursday of this week.
All right, real quickly, if federal dollars were used then by Alvin Bragg or anyone in his office to go after Trump, what happens?
Well, that's a concern for us. We want to know what kind of communications may have taken place between the Justice Department and, because remember, the Justice Department didn't bring this case. They weren't going to do it. No one was going to do this until Mr. Bragg came along. That to me is a real concern here. So, and this is the same district attorney where there's now record crime in New York, where he downgrades most felonies to misdemeanors. The felony cases he brings, yeah, you're right there. The felony cases he brings, he loses half of them, and now he's going after the former president and a guy who's announced for president. And who's his star witness? Who's his key witness? Michael Cohen, a guy we all know has lied, who came in front of the Oversight Committee a few years ago and lied 6 times in front of Congress. That's their star witness for this case that no one else would bring. If this is not going after your political opponents and using the government to do so, I don't know what is.
Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you very much. Thanks for breaking the news right here on the Faulkner Focus on this. We'll see what happens with that letter to Alvin Bragg. Good to see you.
You bet. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.